For this part of the workflow, I am going to use these 3 custom brushes that I prepared. I'm going to select them, copy them into the document that we've been working on. Once you place these lines in, they will automatically show up in the brushes panel. So if you can't see this panel, just go to Window, Brushes. And the great thing in Illustrator is that if you just copy an object that was using a particular saved brush, as soon as you copy that into another document, it will not only show up in the panel, but also will have all the settings automatically applied. Like in this case, I'm using the tints method for colorization for all of these 3 brushes. Now we can actually delete these from here, so we don't actually need them to be visible in the document, but it's still going to be staying here in the brushes panel. So the first one I'm going to use is this one, the thin line. And if I use my brush tool and I start drawing with this, you can see that it tries to emulate a pencil. This is slightly different to the default brushes that you can find in Illustrator under the artistic category. I tweaked one of those default brushes and I wanted to make it a little bit thinner and more expressive. So I'm going to use this preset, but I'm going to change the stroke color to white because we are going to draw over details here, and probably starting first with the trousers or jeans. So let's just see what happens if I start drawing with the brush tool. Now, the brush tool is great for drawing single lines, but then each time you draw, it's going to start a new line. And this way, if I zoom a little bit even closer, you will see this better. This way, each time you are drawing, you are pretty much just replicating the same line. However, instead of drawing individual lines like this, if you want to continue an existing line instead of starting a new path, what you can also do is to change the preferences for the brush tool by double clicking on it. You will get this option to edit selected paths and also keep selected. So if you turn both of these options on, you will be able to start drawing a line and continue drawing it. And you can see how the line is getting stretched further out. Now I can still start a new line as long as I'm far enough from the original one. So if I draw here, it's going to be another line. If I draw here, again, it's going to be a new one. And your cursor is actually helping you to see what you are going to do. So if it shows a little star next to the brush, that means it's going to start a new line. When the star disappears, that means it's going to continue drawing one of your existing lines. Now, if you want to jump back to a previous line, just hold down Command or Control and click on it to select it. And then use the brush tool again. You can continue either left or the right side of it. So for this illustration, I am going to try to keep these lines fairly long. And as you can see, I'm just drawing over the parts that I'm not happy with. And probably that's roughly around a good length that I wouldn't want to exceed. And to make sure that I'm not going to extend or continue drawing this line, I just have to click somewhere outside. So essentially deselect it. Now let me show you what happens if I start a new line now. You can see it's overlapping the previous one. I can start drawing it from here and then just keep drawing. Again, this one is going to continue and I can even refine sections of it. So I can just go down again, keep drawing over it if I'm not happy with its placement. And then if I want to end this line, maybe here, I just Command click outside to deselect it, and then I can start a new line. So let's go down again a little bit closer and keep drawing. Now don't forget that you can use the rotate view tool, adjust the angle of the view. This is something you can find here in the toolbar. So that's the rotate view tool. And with that, it makes it much easier to continue drawing in a specific angle, especially when you're using a stylus. So I am going to draw this all the way out there. If I want to adjust existing lines, I can just select it. And again, using the brush tool, I can refine it like so. If you want to revert back to the original orientation, just press Escape on the keyboard, and then we can zoom out a bit to see how this looks. Now, if I wanted to, I could select any of these and use either the smooth or the simplify options to refine it a bit more. But I feel like most of it looks good. Maybe on this one as well, I would use a little bit of more smooth. And if I don't want this overlap to be visible here, I could just use the direct selection tool and drag that point up a little bit. Now, you don't always have to be this precise with your brush strokes. What you mainly are looking to do is to avoid repetition, so make it look organic and unique each time. And one other tip that I always recommend to do is for your lines, it's actually good to have a separate layer setup. So as you can see right now, they are in the same layer as all the other shapes, but I'm going to select them and create a new layer, and I will call this one lines and shading, and drag these objects in here. So now we can see that we have these three paths added there, and we could even lock our illustration layer for now, so we won't accidentally move anything around in the background. One other advantage of doing this is that I can very quickly select all of them, and if I wanted to make them a bit thicker, I could just increase the point size, and again, it was much faster to do it this way. So now if I use the brush tool, I can zoom back and let's just continue drawing these lines. Again, I'm just trying to draw this with one single line. So I will go back, one single line like that. If I want to set this to 2 points, I can do that very quickly. I think 2 points works quite well in this illustration. When I zoom out, that's the good amount of thickness. But not every line has to be the same thickness. Like this one, I feel like even with 1 point is strong enough. Let's zoom a bit closer, and now let's draw this line right here. I'm going to start from there and go down. Let's try it again. Okay, maybe I start from here. Let's draw it again. Yeah, that looks good. And then I'm going to just increase this to 2 points. Okay, now to get this curve right, I'm actually going to select this path, simplify it a bit, make it smoother, also simplify it. And then let's just select the anchor point and drag this handle down like that. Okay, and maybe the anchor point can come back a bit right there. All right, now let's move on. We need to also draw a few more lines here. So we have one more going this way. We can continue this all the way there. Then we will need another line running down here. Another line there. And then we just need a few more lines up here. One running down there. Another one here. And one more for the pocket, which is right there. Now I don't want this to overlap, so I'm just going to drag it up a little bit. So let's take a look from a distance. This is looking quite good. I'm just going to add a button here with the ellipse tool. Holding down the Shift key, I make it a perfect circle, and then press Shift X to switch the colors around. So we set it up like that. Now let's take a look without the sketch on top of it, and it looks good. I'm just going to bring back the sketch so I can see my additional lines.